Deja vu, and welcome to the show, everybody.
And hello, and what's going to go happening today? I don't know. Go for it, Dicky do.
I think we'll just go right into this one. We've got Greenland's leading political parties have issued a joint statement to condemn Trump's unacceptable behavior after the president seemed to escalate the campaign to take over the island. The show of unity saw all leaders of all parties in the parliament of Greenland release a joint message saying they cannot accept the repeated statements about annexation and control of Greenland. It follows a meeting between Trump and NATO secretary, what's his name there, Mark Rutte, on Thursday, where the president doubled down on his annexation plans. So outgoing Prime Minister Mutby Ajid, I'm not sure, whose party was defeated in the election on Tuesday, came out with a big statement. Our country will never be in the USA, and we Greenlanders will never be Americans. Don't keep treating us with disrespect. Enough is enough. And the U.S. has had a long security interest in the island. It's had a military base there since World War II, and Trump is probably also keen on the rare earth minerals. That's a key recurring statement going on with this idiot, isn't it? Greenland was already on the defensive about Trump's annexing talk, but his comments to Rudd at the White House sent further shockwaves when he implied that NATO's help could be needed to seize the island. Ronald Gump said, Mark, we need that for international security. We have a lot of our favorite players cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful. We'll be talking to you. Right. So when asked about the prospect of annexation, Trump said, I think that'll happen. Now, Mark Rutte here has been criticized in both Greenland and Denmark and other places for not reprimanding Trump, not saying anything. Right. All he said was he would leave that issue outside. He's not dragging NATO into that. He didn't say anything about it.
Well, we could get Zelensky to hold the peace talks.
But then he pivoted to praise. And this is something that you're seeing more and more world leaders do when they're dealing with Ronald Gump, right? And he said, but Trump is totally right that security in the Arctic must be maintained. He didn't say he was right about annexation or anything. It's just a way that, you have to appease the ring, right? So there was a joint statement from Greenland's politicians and political parties. Greenland continues to work for Greenland. We all stand behind this effort and strongly distance ourselves from attempts to create discord. And their decision came just days after the election. They are completely unified in this. Every single political party is saying, no, screw you, enough. That's it. I like it. More and more people got to just say no. Never mind this. Oh, but you're right about something else. And kiss the ring.
Yeah, what a prick.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on, because it's a happy day today. It's happy day. It's the 14th of March, which is 3.14. Yes, it's Pie Day. Yes, Pie Day. Look at that little happy pie. It's a day that every math nerd eagerly anticipates each year, apparently. Known around the world as Pi Day, is a time to celebrate one of the mathematics' most famous constants, pi, the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, approximately 3.1415. While some people may opt for a slice of pie to mark the occasion, others take to a deeper dive into the fascinating mathematical significance of this number. Dr. Larry Washington, a professor of mathematics at the University of Maryland, College Park, shares his expertise on the vital role pi plays in various fields. He says it's a foundational constant used in the real world, from designing buildings to understanding vibrations and even the electromagnetic waves that make up radio signals. When asked whether Pi Day is a big deal in the math community, Dr. Washington responded with a smile. He says, for us, it's more like a birthday party for a dear friend. Yes. He says, one of my colleagues will recite pi out to 100 decimal places for fun. He says, how many of us can say we've had that much fun in college? Yes,
I definitely have not.
that's how I had fun in college. Yeah. Dr. Washington seems to be equally fond of both solving equations with pi and indulging in delicious pecan pie. He did admit that the two pleasures are about equal, though perhaps it depends on the pie. Has this guy ever had sex?
I was just going to say, is he talking about hair pie here? Like what?
Yeah, Dr. Washington highlights an easy way for us to remember pi out to 8 decimal points by remembering the phrase, may I have a small container of coffee today? Because the number of letters in each word is equal to 3.1415926. Excited. You're on the edge of your seat, I can tell.
That's got to be one math nerd talking to another. There's like an easy way to, yeah.
I mean, how many people in the real world need to go to 8 decimal places, for anything? Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough of excitement. Back to the horrors of the world.
Oh man. Okay, hold on here. Let me read you a little quote here. I've stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. This was triumphantly declared in the State of the Union address by none other than Ronald Gump. He said, it's back. And J.D. Vance scolded Europe in his speech at the Munich Security Conference last month, declaring that free speech is in retreat across the continent. But on the same day that Trump announced the revival of free speech, he posted on Truth Social that federal funding for educational institutions that allow illegal protests will be ceased. They will cease funding over protests that they deem illegal. Trump is referring...
Deem illegal.
Yeah. And of course, he's referring to protests for Palestine. Right? This is what he's talking about. So it goes on to say agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on the severity of the crime, arrested. And then it says no masks in capital letters. So what? Yeah, I don't get that either. Trump's first target is Columbia University. They had $400 million of federal funding slashed because of what the government says is continued inaction in the face of persistent harassment of Jewish students. 9 other campuses, including Harvard, University of California, and so on, could be next. All of these places were sites of overwhelmingly peaceful demonstrations over the conflict going on. They're all saying, Israel, tame it down, relax, step back some. And they weren't just opposing the government's facilitation through weapons and aid and diplomatic support, but they were really wanting their colleges to divest from companies linked to Israel. This got pretty heated, right? So Trump stepped in and is now throwing around the money threat, and he's already taken $400 million. That ain't no small amount, right? Trump declared that Jewish Americans who support Democrats, and that's the vast majority of them, if you really look into it, he said they hate their religion, hate everything about Israel, and should be ashamed of themselves.
Oh, no.
I'm not kidding. And menacingly said that they would have a lot of blame if he had lost the election. This was just before, right? So these university protests, on the other hand, had a large Jewish presence, and hundreds of Jewish students were there, and they signed letters rejecting the ways that these encampments have been smeared as anti-Semitic.
That's nuts.
It sounds to me like the administration is now going to use this as their excuse to take back funding to colleges and universities all over the place.
And bullying Jewish people not being Republicans.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I wonder if they could put them into separate camps.
Yeah.
That's an idea we've never heard of before.
Is he going through the South and is he going to say, blah, blah, any one of you that isn't Republican is against me and therefore against your God and stuff? And it's unbelievable.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, he probably will.
So it's getting ugly. The war on education is not only Linda McMahon tearing apart the Department of Education, but you watch in the very near future, more and more universities are going to lose a lot of their funding as well. This is only going to get worse.
Everything's just to keep getting worse.
Yeah.
Well, on a positive light, a cafe in Binalong in rural New South Wales has imposed its own tariffs on American-made owned products. The owners wanted to show solidarity with Ukraine by after the tense meeting with Donald Trump. The couple will maintain their tariffs until the US president changes his attitude, and with the proceeds to be donated to charity.
Nice.
When Ukraine's president Zelensky faced the meeting, his plight struck a chord with the couple 16,000 kilometers away in Australia. Jan Giles and Adrian Sykes from Bingalong, a village of 500 people, were appalled by the way Zelensky was treated. He said, I was disgusted. There's a man coming for help and he's belittled. Miss Giles said, Miss Giles. I should have said no higher accent.
That's probably about right.
It's schoolyard bullying, and we don't accept that anywhere. You don't treat people like that, and let alone the head of state, and to be on the world stage.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah.
That was Sheila and Bruce,
So, as a way of showing their solidarity, they decided to impose their own tariffs on the goods, and all the proceeds and the support will go to support aid to Ukraine. The tax was introduced before the US announced it would place 25% tariff on Australian steel and aluminium. God, they're doing them as well. I didn't know that. We call it a tariff.
He's handing out tariffs like candies, and you get a tariff, and you get a tariff, and you get a tariff, and this.
Yeah, well done, Opera. He says we're taking Jim Beam and Jack Daniels off the shelves, so they're probably drank it all anyway. Australians are like,
yeah, and all the Australians in the outback are like, what? Without Kentucky bourbon, how am I going to get my teeth brushed? So let's talk about tariffs some more, shall we?
Please.
Yeah, because why not? It's not like it ever comes up in life, you don't ever hear this stuff unless you're watching our show. Trump threatened to impose another 200% tariff on wine and champagne and other alcoholic beverages from France and elsewhere in the European Union, the latest in another angle of this brewing trade war. So this is a whole thing. This is why the EU and Mexico and Canada and so on should really be looking at closer ties, right? Screw them. The president in a social media post, this is our national post up here in Canada. And what they meant to say was Truth Social Post. Said he would move forward with the import duties if Brussels follows through with a tax on American whiskey exports. And Brussels was retaliating on Trump's steel and aluminum tariffs. You see how this keeps working, right? Trump throws a tariff out. Everybody else says, oh, okay, we're going to levy one on you then to balance the scales. And he goes, who do you think you are? Now I'm going to really go at you.
You're right? Not allowed to do that.
Exactly, right? If this tariff is not removed immediately, the U.S. will shortly place a 200% tariff on all wines, champagnes, and alcohol products coming out of France and other EU-represented countries. Trump said this about the pending levels on bourbon. He said, this will be great for the wine and champagne business in the United States. Donald, I drink beer, for God's sakes, and I know better than to say there's a champagne industry in California. That's stupid.
Did You know why there's not a champagne industry in California? Does Trump understand why there's not a champagne? Anywhere outside of the region of Champagne in France.
Have you ever heard of sparkling wine, Donald? You idiot! God damn it! This man is stupid, right? Yeah. So Trump is escalating the trade war he choose to unleash. Laurent Saint Martin, France's trade minister, said on a post on X, "We will not give in to threats and we will always protect our industries." I love the French. They just step right up, right? The EU is planning countermeasures with duties on as much as 26 billion euros worth of American products. The president was totally annoyed that the Europeans did this. Now, this was U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Bootlick. You know that guy that's always on Trump's left that kind of giggles and chuckles when Trump is scribbling his name in crayon? And he was on Bloomberg television. He said he cares about America and he wants to take care of Americans. That's why he was very annoyed by their response and instantly kicked into action to take it a step further or whatever. Now, I don't know about you guys, but somebody who governs by their instinctive emotional reaction to something happening is not good for anyone. That's not how this is done. You don't sit there and go, "Well, I'll double down on you then." You know, this is ridiculous. He's a 78-year-old child.
I like how it makes these statements like saying, I really care about Americans. Well, only the Americans that like him. That's the only Americans.
The rest of them can be deported to Greenland. That's what they need it for, right? That Greenland is just going to become where the Democrats live.
Oh, dear. That'll be a great country then.
Yeah. Well, they'd be closer to us, so that's all right. No. Actually, not closer, but yeah. More up in line with our lines there. What's this dude in the box? What's going on here?
So we have a story here. How to avoid tariffs. I didn't know there was a tariff on tortoises and turtles, but a Pennsylvania man who was going through security at a New Jersey airport was found to have a live turtle concealed in his pants, according to the Federal Transport Security Administration. Do they still exist? Oh, they haven't shut them down yet.
What if it got hungry?
It was a snapper turtle. The turtle was detected Friday.
Call the turtle Bobbit.
The turtle was detected Friday after a body scanner alarm went off at Newark Liberty International Airport. The TSA officer then conducted a pat down on the East Stroudsburg man and determined there was something very, very hard and concealed in his pants.
Sir, are you wearing a jock strap that breathes?
You got a turtle in your trousers.
Are you flexing your penis while I do this?
He says, when questioned further, the man reached into his pants and pulled out the turtle. He got shot, which is about 5 inches long and wrapped in a small blue towel. And so was the turtle. He said it was a red ear slider turtle, a species that is very popular as a pet. The man, whose name has not been released, neither's a turtle, for that matter, was escorted
Elon Musk
by Port Authority police and ended up missing his flight. Oh, poor him. And the turtle was confiscated and deported. He said, we have seen travelers try to conceal knives and other weapons on their person, in their shoes, and in their luggage. However, I believe this is the first time we have come across someone who was concealing a live small animal down the front of his pants. Now you should watch the 42 show because we report this shit every week.
First thing we do is look for turtle stories, right? I mean, that's,
He says that the incident remains under investigation, and it wasn't clear if the man would face any charges or penalties. What do you mean it remains under investigation? We're going to have teams of people looking into the turtle mystery.
I think it's all right. Oh, shoot. I already hit the damn button. Yeah. Yeah, it's a turtle, people. It's easy now, easy. I think the bigger question is, why was it in his pants? I mean, why not just buy it a seat, right?
You should have claimed it was for Pi Day.
We had a Ko-fi donation come in, $10 direct from UTV and Ham there in the chat there. Priority funding and whatever's needed. Big thanks there, buddy. Awesome. So let me just ask you something here. The U.S. is in serious trouble for eggs, right? They're literally on the open market trying to import a bunch. And I guess some will be to hatch new chickens because they're all just croaking over from bird flu. But with all that's going on in the world right now, who would the U.S. turn to get eggs from? That's right, Denmark.
Russia.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, Denmark. And so the request came from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and it coincides with a raft of new U.S. territories on countries, and most of Europe and so on, and the threat of more tariffs, as well as the threat against Greenland's own sovereignty. A letter that was reviewed by Reuters showed that a representative of the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Europe had sent formal inquiries to egg-producing countries in late February seeking information on their ability and willingness to export eggs to the American market. Yeah, they're still waiting to get more guidance from Washington on the next steps. But this is what the note said, but do you have an estimate on the number of eggs that could be supplied to the United States, assuming they meet all the import requirements and stuff? And there was a follow-up letter sent to the Danish Egg Association in March as well. It said Washington's trying to get an estimate on the amount of they could feasibly source from yourselves. Now, the Danish Egg Association hasn't done anything but said they'd look into it. And Turkey said in February that it started exporting about 15,000 tons of eggs to the U.S. already.
Just lobbing them out.
Yeah. Take that, you know. But it's hilarious for them to go to Denmark and say, we really, really need eggs. And Denmark could be like, we really, really need you to shut up with the rhetoric, bitch.
And by the way, there's a 200% tariff on eggs.
Yeah, exactly, right? For every 10 eggs we sell you, Trump's got to take one in the rump.
It's pretty worth more than bloody Tesla stock at the minute.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. I'd take a dozen eggs over a Model S any day, right?
I'll throw them at a Model S.
Let's see here. Where's your next one?
Yes, watch out, dog owners, because a man in Memphis, Tennessee, was accidentally shot by his dog in a bizarre incident that authorities have ruled accidental. It was dog slaughter. Gerald Kirkwood told police that he was lying in bed with a woman and a 1-year-old pit bull, Oreo, when the dog jumped onto the bed and triggered and discharged the weapon. The bullet grazed the upper part of Kirkwood's left thigh. Oh, very dangerous because it's a very, very serious.
Did it hit his girlfriend in the elbow?
He's caught. Local outlet reported that Oreo's paw got caught on the trigger guard of the gun, ultimately causing it to fire. Kirkwood was taken to hospital and treated for non-critical injuries. The woman present at the time of the shooting reportedly shat herself, stupid, took
demanded
the
to be paid and left.
Took the firearm and left the home, but later spoke to local station saying Oreo was a playful dog who likes to jump around like dogs do.
Yeah, with pistols. It's just...
and the weapon just went off. Well, that's what he said when he was lying next to her.
why is he laying around with this chick with loaded weapons all over the? What is going on?
That is a very, very interesting question. But she added that moving forward, they plan to engage firearm safeties and consider trigger locks. Keep the safety on, or use a trigger lock, or how about not lying in bed with your lady and a gun between you? How about that one for a starter?
Guns aren't sex toys, people. It's
just put it away.
Yeah.
Police classified the shooting as accidental and confirmed that no charges will be filed against either the dog or his owner.
No charges with that level of carelessness in handling and owning a firearm. No charges.
Yeah, they should put that dog in prison. Absolutely. Deport him.
Yeah.
Deport him now.
Yeah, I think you got a point there.
Mm.
Yeah, he should be back to Dog Island. So let's see here. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that we must not let the war drag on, as he urged the U.S. to put pressure on Putin to ensure that Russia is ready to end the war. He said that pressure must be put on Russia to force Putin into ending the conflict, repeating that Ukraine was ready to act quickly and constructively. He contrasted Ukraine's immediate agreement to the U.S. Proposal for a ceasefire with Putin's evasive, non-committal answers, saying, "We do not want to play games with war." In a blistering attack on Putin, he criticized him for lying about the real situation on the battlefield. He's trying to say that all Ukrainians are screwed in Kursk, and as such, it's just that doesn't count in negotiation, but we get to keep what we have. That's what he's doing, right? He's lying about casualties, the state of the Russian economy, which he said has been damaged by this foolish imperial ambitions, he being Volodymyr Zelensky, right? Putin cannot exit this war because they would leave him with nothing, and he has no face to save. This is why he's doing now everything he can to sabotage diplomacy by setting extremely difficult and unacceptable conditions right from the start, even before a ceasefire. Zelensky in particular said that Putin will try to drag everyone into endless discussions while his guns continue to kill people, as he argued that every condition Putin puts forward is just an attempt to block diplomacy. This is how Russia works. We warned about this already. Repeatedly appealing to President Trump and the U.S. administration more broadly, he said that especially the United States can influence Putin and Russia to force a ceasefire and ultimately a lasting peace. He said Putin will not end the war on his own, but the strength of America is enough to make it happen. It's I really, really hope that enough people in this piece of trash's administration are paying attention to what's truly going on here, because all of this has been predicted by quite a few people, and it's playing out already. Putin doesn't want anything but a chance to regroup and continue. It's a joke, right? This is it's a total joke right now. The only way this actually works is if America gets tough.
Well, yeah, I mean that orange gibbon might. So, yeah, God knows what he will do. Can't even make any predictions. Can't make any predictions.
Yeah,
he might just say, "Yeah, okay, Russia. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Ukraine capitulate."
I know.
Or he might just start chucking bombs around. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't trust him. I figure he would sell Ukraine down the river if he figures Putin will just give him access to the damn minerals, right? I don't think Trump really cares, to be honest.
It's sell Putin out as well if he could. He'll just take the whole lot. He'll take Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
He probably just hasn't thought about that yet.
Yeah. He would sell Melania if he knew where to find her.
She hides too well. Well, maybe she's been in disguise all this time, because there was an intriguing story about some pioneering brain surgery as a brown bear that was emerged from semi-hibernation in good health. But the 3-year-old Boki, a resident of the Wildwood Trust near Canterbury, Kent, had been suffering from seizures believed to be caused by hydrocephalus, which is a buildup of fluid on the brain. He had been receiving medication, but this would have been unsustainable once he entered this period of hibernation. Faced with this challenge, the Wildwood team made the unprecedented decision to pursue brain surgery in a 5-hour procedure. On October 9th, 2024. Bokey became the first brown bear on record to undergo such an operation. Yeah, even better if he did it himself.
All the bears laugh at him because he's got a shaved head.
Oh, look at him. I think it's a great cut. I think it really suits him. World-renowned veterinary surgeon Romain Pizzi, who donated his services, inserted a stent to drain excess fluid from Bokey's brain into his abdomen.
Wow.
The Wildwood spokesman reported that Bokey had made remarkable recovery and was successfully weaned off his medication before entering his hibernation. Yeah, he was weaned off the fentanyl and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. He's a clean bear now. He's clean. But his recent emergence from his hibernation marked a crucial stage in his recovery, according to the Wildwood's head of bears, John Ford. Yes,
he shaved too.
Yeah, he got the same cut.
Solidarity, brother.
Yeah, exactly. He says Bokey was looking brilliant, happy and healthy. Yeah, he doesn't look too happy there, does he?
I think he's looking at the whatever he's on the ground in front of him. It looks like the remains of a bird or something.
Yeah, it's an ex-chicken.
Yeah, and he's like, where's the opiates, man?
Yeah, where's me drugs?
Mm-hmm.
Give me some drugs. They say they haven't seen any negative signs from him, and all his personality traits are still there, and he's still the same old Bokey that we love. Yes, all those personality traits that.
So he hates human and wants to see them all dead.
Yeah, he likes to slap a bore across your face.
Let me just skip ahead one here. So this is some screwed up shit, fellow babies. The Trump administration has formally asked Pentagon officials for credible military options to ensure unfettered American access to the Panama Canal. This is one of several new directives outlined in what amounts to a major overhaul of U.S. strategic priorities. Ronald Gump has repeatedly insisted that the U.S. needs to reclaim the canal. You've heard the rhetoric, right? He really doubled down on his... it's not really a speech to Congress. It was more a flatulent self-patting on the back. But a memo from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has provided some revelations here. Among the directives defense officials were instructed to execute immediately is provide credible military options to ensure fair and unfettered U.S. military and commercial access to the Panama Canal. The memo is titled Interim National Defense Strategic Guidance, and it aligns with Trump's policy stated goals like using military assets at the U.S. border, reinforcing U.S. states' presence in the Western Hemisphere, and otherwise maintaining a near singular focus on China. When asked about the memo, Pentagon Press Secretary John said, "We have no announcements regarding force posture changes in Panama. The department is fully prepared to support the president's national security priorities, including those surrounding the Panama Canal."
I mean, have I been asleep? What? Well. What national security concern was there in the first? Well, I missed something.
As soon as he starts labeling national security as a concern, he doesn't have to worry about like Congress and the House and blah, blah, and he can just do what he wants to do. That's why he's saying that tariffs are about fentanyl. Well, what about European Union tariffs? Are they about it's all lies, justifications, so that he doesn't have to ask for permission.
Okay. Whatever.
I know. So the memo also states that the U.S. military's foremost priority is to defend the homeland and instructs the Pentagon to seal the borders, repel forms of invasion, including unlawful mass migration, narcotics trafficking, human smuggling and trafficking, other criminal activities, and deport illegal aliens in coordination with the Department of Homeland Security.
What, from Panama?
Well, no, but this is in general. So the U.S. military is now involved in deportation and border security. I didn't think that's how it worked. I thought stuff on American soil was done by National Guard and stuff. Like, this is, the whole thing is being thrown into flux. Nothing makes sense anymore. Cats and dogs are having great sex. I don't know. It's just, I got nothing. I don't understand it.
They might as well. That's all they got now. Yeah, unless they're being eaten.
Yeah, but I urge every country in the world to ready a real response if the U.S. tries to do anything in force to take Panama. That can't be allowed. It can't be. That's just, this cannot happen. This cannot happen.
I've got an idea. Got an idea, right? Don't tell anyone this, but if all Americans just stand next to one of their military personnel and just quickly, put a mask over them and smother them, put them to sleep, stick in a FedEx box and send them out somewhere. So when Trump turns around and says, "Right, where's my military?" They're all fucked off and being cared for somewhere else.
I got a TikTok challenge for everybody out there. Let's see if we can get viral here. This is the grenade belt challenge. Run up to a high-ranking Republican, attach a grenade to their belt, and run away with the pin. Come on, we can make this happen. It'd be great fun.
All right, very, very quickly, we'll move on to this last story because on Saturday, a developer using Cursor AI for a racing game project hit an unexpected roadblock when the programming assistant abruptly refused to continue generating code. Instead, according to the bug report on Cursor's official forum, after approximately 750 to 800 lines of code, the AI assistant halted work and delivered a refusal message saying, "I cannot generate code for you as I would be completing your work." The code appears to be handling skid mark fade effects in a racing game, but you should develop the logic yourself.
I love it.
This ensures you understand the system and can maintain it properly. The AI didn't stop at merely refusing. He says, if offered paternalistic justification for its decision, stating that generating code for others can lead to dependency and reduced learning opportunities. It's telling them to go out and get a fucking job. RTM, read the manual. Just sort it out. Why are you asking me?
Maybe this one was trained by his mother, right? We're out of time. We got to wrap it up. Thanks for joining us. Hit like, share, and subscribe on your way out the door, and leave us a comment as well.
Oh, yes, definitely. A nasty, nasty, nasty comment about tariffs and stuff. And it was in the after show.
It's after show night. Yes.
Bye.
Boom.